ॐ दक्षिणस्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः। This is the last session of our Bhagavad Gita study, which we can call as a Jnana Yajna. Already in the 4th chapter, Bhagavan has explained that the best or the Atyuttama of any of the yajnas, any of the karmas, Jnana Yajna or the study of the scriptures, sharing, speaking about it, Anyonya Tat Prabodhanam, talking about it and listening. This kind of a mutual participation in understanding what our scriptures are telling. This is the highest form of yajna, and this is the highest form of punya that can be accrued by either the listener or the speaker, the teacher. And then in the 65th verse, Bhagwan Manmana Bhava Madbhakto Bhava, which is the second time this particular verse is getting repeated in Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagwan gave for the final time, for the last time, Bhagwan gave the summary of the entire Karma Yoga, the attitude of Karma Yoga, where he said, Manmana Bhava, Madbhakto Bhava, Arjuna, whatever is your Swakarma, whatever is your Swadharma, may you do it with the intention of offering whatever you do to me as an offering, as a puja, as a worship. And ultimately, whatever you get out of it, you receive it as my prasada. And this entire Manvana Bhava Madbhakto Bhava, the 65th verse of the 18th chapter, was the ultimate summary of Karma Yoga. Then, for one last time, finally, Bhagwan entirely concluded this Jnana Yoga part of it, summarized the Jnana Yoga and concluded the Jnana Yoga in the 66th verse, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja. And I think in the last session, I think more than 50% of the session was discussed on this Sarva Dharman Parityajya. How Sarva Dharman Parityajya talks about ultimately the Jnana Yoga, the ultimate, that which gives me this aikyam, that with which I understand that there is there is no difference, there is no bheda between me and Ishvara. This Jiva Ishvara Abhedam, that which is understood by this Jnana Yoga. And what is Jnana Yoga? Already Bhagavan has talked in the second chapter, fourth chapter, fifth chapter, seventh chapter, ninth chapter, 12th chapter, 15th chapter, all these chapters. And also three times Jnana Yoga was summarized in the 18th chapter itself. And then after having completed that for the one final time, Bhagwan gave a few of the other nitty gritties of this, saying that who are the adhikaris for this knowledge and how this knowledge should not be simply distributed to everybody if they are not interested. It's only to an interested person, a person who is a serious listener. Such a person only, how this knowledge has to be given, that was also talked about, which I discussed in the last session. And ultimately, the very important thing is in the 72nd verse, Bhagwan Krishna himself asks Arjuna, Arjuna, have you understood what I have taught you? See, it is ultimately the desire and the wish of every teacher in any branch of knowledge. Forget about Advaita, forget about our Shastras. For any branch of knowledge, it is the desire and it is the intention of the guru or the teacher that whatever has been taught has to be understood, is has to become useful. It has to be assimilated by the person who has heard this knowledge. And Arjuna did not say anything. 65th verse on Karma Yoga is over. For the final time, 66th, the last teaching verse of Sarva Dharman Parityajya is over. Lord Krishna has also told him who are the adhikaris for this knowledge, who is a Shraddhavan who gets this knowledge, whom should this knowledge be given to, and whom this knowledge should not be given. All these have been told, but there is not a single word from Arjuna saying that I have really understood what you have told. And it makes even a teacher like Bhagwan Krishna makes him ask this question in the 72nd verse. Bhagwan says, Kachid ajnana sammoha pranashtaste dhananjaya. Hey Dhananjaya, hey Arjuna, has your problem been sorted out? The confusion with which you surrendered to me and the problem with which you wanted, the problem from which you wanted this freedom, and you asked me for that which is ultimate shreyas to you, for you, you asked me for this. And I have talked about 700 verses explaining to you what is Karma Yoga, what is Upasana, what is Jnana Yoga? What is it that you should know? What is it that releases you from this samsara once and for all? This is something which I have talked over such a long time. But Arjuna, what has happened? Have I made myself clear to you? Whatever I have talked about, has it really made any sense to you? Has it reached you? Krishna asked this question directly to Arjuna. And I tell you, I have heard this personally, my Vedanta Guru telling us in the classroom. For last 35 years, I have been teaching this knowledge. Have any one of you really understood what it means? And I know of another great Mahatma who for 45 years gave this Advaita knowledge. And in his last, it seems, lecture before his death, he said, I really don't know how many people have really grasped what I have taught for last 45 years. See, every teacher probably at the end feels this, and he wants to know, he wants to have a feedback, he wants to know from the student. And for Krishna, the problem is that he has only one Shishya, Arjuna. And what kind of a situation is this? This is not a classroom teaching. This is not a place where, air conditioned lecture hall is there and where the sound systems are there and there is nothing to disturb. And that kind of a situation, it is not. It is a war situation. And in the battlefield, everybody has gathered and the war is about to begin. But for some reason, the time has stood still and this teaching has gone on. And therefore, very, very, with lot of concern, Krishna is asking Arjuna, Kaschid Ajnanam Sammoha, Ajnana Sammoha. This moha, this confusion which was born out of Ajnana, which was born out of ignorance in you, I have tried to clear it. I have tried to tell you what your problem is. What is this ignorance which is causing you this problem? And all this time that I have spent in trying to sort out your problem, Arjuna, has your problem been sorted out? And for that, Arjuna answered in the 73rd verse, which we saw last time, Nashto mohaha. Gone is my delusion, he says. Doesn't say my delusion is gone. Gone is the delusion. He doesn't even want to waste one more word and make Lord Krishna wait for even another, fraction of a second. And he says, Nashto mohaha smritir labdha. I have understood this. Krishna, whatever has been your effort, for whatever purpose you have talked to me about this, I have understood. One thing I have understood very clearly is that now it is my swadharma as a kshatriya to protect the dharma in the society. This dharma yuddha which has come to me, I have to fight this war with a sense of duty. Maybe it is not one of the pleasant things that I'm going to do. It doesn't matter. But I have understood that I have to do this swadharma, and I have understood that this is what I have to do it with an attitude of karma yoga and offer this entire war, my fighting this war to you, as worship. And I'm willing to take whatever comes out of this, the result of this action, as your prasada. And I'm willing to that for that till for now my moha, my confusion, my delusion, my ajnana is gone. I have also understood that there is this possibility of complete freedom from this samsara by following jnana yoga, for which I have to prepare myself. My intellect has to be prepared with chitta shuddhi, with karma yoga. I have to make my intellect capable of concentrating on this knowledge, sitting for some time and concentrating on this knowledge and trying to understand what you have talked about, what the scriptures have talked about. You have given the summary of what the scriptures have talked about. And this upasana is necessary for chitta naishchalyam. And then I have also understood that I have to expose this intellect to the scriptural study, to the scriptural inquiry, and ultimately the result that I get out of this is that final release from this samsara. Therefore, smritir labdha means I have got this knowledge. I have understood that at present I have to be a karma yogi and I have to do what I am supposed to do. And my ultimate freedom from the samsara forever is going to be only through jnanam. Jnanattu eva kaivalyam. And what is this jnanam? I'm not the body mind sense complex. I'm not the karta. I'm not the bhokta. I'm that subject consciousness. I'm that Atma Swarupa. I'm that Akarta, Abhokta, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Atma, who is not different from you, Krishna. Swarupataya, essentially, my nature, the Jiva, my nature, the Jiva Swarupa, essentially is not different from Ishvara Swarupa. This is what I have to understand. And yes, Smritir Labdha means I have understood this. For the time being, I have understood it. And how have I understood it? Tvat prasadat, out of your grace. It is not that I have got this knowledge just like that. Even for Laukika knowledge, we require the grace of that particular subject and the grace of the Guru. And what about this knowledge, which is one of the highest forms of knowledge? In any branch of knowledge, Uttamam Jnanam, Krishna says, Idam Param Uttamam Jnananam Uttamam Jnanam. This is in all branches of knowledge. This is the highest knowledge because it once and for all removes all my ignorance. I have understood that. And therefore, with your grace, with your prasada, Bhagwan Vishnu has come in the form of Krishna and given this knowledge. I have understood that Sthitosmi Gata Sandehaha. I don't have any doubt anymore. Karishye Vachanam Tava. And I am going to do what you have asked me to do. Yes, I have understood where I stand. I understood what my duty is. And I also understand that the ultimate release from samsara is from nothing else other than this knowledge. And I also understand what I have to do to get this knowledge. What is the preparation that is necessary to get this knowledge? And ultimately, how to get this knowledge, how to interpret this knowledge, and ultimately, how to benefit from this knowledge. Yes, that I have understood. Ultimately, what removes ignorance is only knowledge. Nothing else will remove the ignorance. Sorry. Therefore, I have understood this. With this, the dialogue, the samvada between the Guru and Shishya, that is between Krishna and Arjuna, is over. And now what happens? Sanjaya, who's the master of ceremonies, he comes into the picture and finally concludes the Bhagavad Gita. Because when it started, when Bhagavad Gita started, It was Sanjaya who started this when Dhritarashtra asked this question, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. Okay, Samaveta Yutsavaha. All these people who are, waiting to start this war in Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. Hey Sanjaya, what is happening? What are my children doing? What are the Pandavas doing? This was the question with which Bhagavad Gita started. And it is Sanjaya who had a clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairvision. That means Bhagwan Vyasa had given this capacity to Sanjaya to see what is happening in the battlefield, at the same time to listen to what is happening in the battlefield, by which he could report whatever was happening to the blind king Dhritarashtra. So now Sanjaya comes back here, and the last 5 verses are the concluding verses where Sanjaya is going to talk about his opinion or his idea about what he has seen and what he has heard. So here, Sanjaya Uvacha Ityaham Vasudevasya Parthasya cha Mahatmanah Samvadamimam Shrausham Adbhutam Romaharshanam. So he says, Iti aham, here iti aham, ityaham, till now, this is what I have heard. What? Samvadam. What is this samvada? Vasudevasya Parthasya cha Mahatmanaha. He calls Arjuna a Mahatma, naturally. Parthasya cha Mahatmanaha. This Arjuna who is a Mahatma, naturally. After all, Bhagwan Lord Vishnu has come as an avatara, and as a single student exclusively he has taken this 700 verses of teaching classes, in such a short time to Arjuna. He is a Mahatma. He is the blessed one. Arjuna is the blessed one. He has received this directly from Bhagwan. He has received it directly from Ishvara. So, Parthasya Mahatmanah cha Vasudevasya Samvadam imam. Imam Samvadam. Having heard this samvada between Vasudeva Krishna and Arjuna, who is no doubt a Mahatma. After all, they are Nara Narayanas. We have that. I have told you in the initial, sessions itself as to how the relationship of Krishna and Arjuna is not something which belongs to this particular life of theirs. It is something which has been going on for many, many lives. So he says, Samvadam imam ashrausham. I've heard this particular samvada, this dialogue between the Guru and Shishya. And what kind of a dialogue is it? Adbhutam Romaharshanam. It is Adbhutam. It is something which is out of this world. It is Ashcharyakaram. It is Adbhutam. This is something I have never heard of anything like this before. Romaharshanam. That which is still I can find this horripilation happening. I can see my hair standing on their ends, because this kind of an adbhutam dialogue between a guru and shishya I have never heard before. And then he says, Vyasa prasadat shrutavan yetad guhyamaham param yogam yogeshwarat krishnat sakshat kathayata swayam. This is the 75th verse. So what does he say here? Vyasa prasadat. I got this capacity to see what was happening, what is happening in the battlefield, and also got the capacity to listen to whatever is happening. And this listening of this entire Adbhutam Romaharshanam Samvadam between Vasudeva Krishna and Mahatma Arjuna, I've heard this dialogue, and this is because of Vyasa Prasada. Who's Vyasacharya? Vyasacharya is the compiler. Many people ask this question, how many hours did Krishna take to give this knowledge? What happened in the battlefield? How is it that both the armies were standing still? Is it till this Samvada went on? How many verses did Bhagwan talk? Did he really say 700 verses? All these questions are very, very irrelevant. It does not matter. A communication took place between Bhagwan Krishna and Arjuna, and that communication has been compiled and that has been reported by Vyasacharya. That is what is necessary for us. And who is Vyasacharya? Vyasacharya is not any other person. He himself is Keshavam Badarayanam, Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande. He's the one who is, the one who is the Brahma Sutrakara, who is actually the, avatara of another avatara of Narayana itself. So such a Vyasacharya, he has compiled And he is the one who has reported this entire dialogue for the benefit of the mankind, what happened personally between the teacher and the student in the battlefield. How would we know it? Because what happened between Krishna and Arjuna is something very, very personal which happened there. But it is Vyasacharya's, with Vyasacharya's grace, today we are learning about this, and he has put it in 700 verses in these chapters, so many chapters. I'm sure Krishna will not say to Arjuna, Arjuna, now I have completed second chapter. Now I will go to the third chapter. No, this is not it. Who it is Vyasacharya who has actually compiled the whole thing into 18 chapters and 700 verses and given it in a palatable form to all of us so that we are able to understand what went on between the Guru and the Shishya. And so Vyasa Prasadat Shrutaman, Vyasaprasadat Shrutavat, Yetad Guhyam Param Aham. This highest knowledge, this something which is Adbhutam, this kind of a transformative knowledge is something Adbhutam, Paramam, and Guhyam. This sacred and secret knowledge which was imparted by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. Because of Vyasa Prasada, I have heard it. And this is what I am reporting to you. See, ultimately, probably, Sanjaya's intention is that at least after having heard this, Dhritarashtra will change his mind and give an order to stop the war. Probably. That probably was the intention of Vyasacharya also, to have given this capacity to Sanjaya to report everything as is happening in the battlefield. But of course, Dhritarashtra being blind, not just physically blind, but also absolutely blind, even in the way of his thinking, he did not even see the need. This such a thing has happened, then this war, let me not be the person who has to allow this war to happen. Being the king, I can stop this war, but that kind of an idea, that thought never even occurred to Dhritarashtra, which shows how blind, absolute avidya and absolute darkness of the mind of Dhritarashtra it shows. So Vyasa Prasadat Shrutavan Yetat Guhyam Aham Param Yogam Yogeshwarat Krishnat. This is a yoga, Jnana Yoga. This is the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, which is got from who? Yogeshwarat Krishnat Sakshat Kathayataha. Sakshat Yogeshwara Krishna. Yogeshwara means what? He's standing. Bhagwan Krishna is standing in that yoga as Yogeshwara Krishna and giving this. Otherwise, is it possible for any guru to stand in the middle of the battlefield when people are just waiting to start the war to give this kind of a knowledge? In such a situation, it is nothing but Lord Krishna is standing there as Yogeshwara Krishna and giving this dialogue. That is why it is said that after about 30 years of the war, it seems Arjuna asked, I have mentioned this also earlier, asked Bhagwan Krishna, see, you had told me this, you had given me this knowledge and told me something in the battlefield. I have forgotten most of it. Please tell me again. And at that time, Bhagwan Krishna said, look, what I gave you at that time, I was abiding in that yoga. As Yogeshwara Krishna, I gave that knowledge to you. It is not possible for me also now to repeat whatever has been said at that time. But an improvised and a simpler version of it I can give you. And Bhagwan again gives the same thing in a very, very simple form, which is called as Anugita. The same thing was explained by Lord Krishna again to Arjuna, but he could not. He said, I cannot give you what I gave you then, because I was the Yogeshwara Krishna. I was abiding in that yoga and giving you this knowledge. So Yogam Yogeshwarat Krishnat Sakshat Kathayataha Swayam Yogeshwara Krishna has given this knowledge. And I have had the prasada of Vyasacharya not only to see Lord Krishna giving this knowledge to Arjuna, there were other people also there in the battlefield. Have any one of them heard it? We don't know. Bhishma was there, Dronacharya was there, all the Pandavas were there. But this dialogue that happened specifically between Krishna and Arjuna, many people ask, why did Bhagwan give this knowledge only to Arjuna? Because he asked for it, simple. This knowledge is given to a person who asks for it. If I don't ask for it, I don't get this knowledge. I should go to the Guru and ask for this knowledge. That is what Arjuna did. Dharmaputra did not do that. Bhima did not do that. Bhishma did not do that. Nobody else did that. It is in this confusion. Nobody else got confused. Everybody was very, very sure that the war is to be fought. But it's only Arjuna who, in the last minute, got this confusion and wanted this confusion to be sorted. And he realized that whatever I have done so far is not coming to my help right now in this situation, and I need something else. And he surrendered to Lord Krishna. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. I am surrendering to you, Krishna. Tell me what I should do. How should I get out of this moha, this kind of vishada that I am having? How should I get out of it? He surrendered and asked for this knowledge. Whoever surrenders to this shastra, whoever surrenders to the guru and asks for this knowledge, such a person only will get this knowledge and get benefited by this knowledge. A casual listening or just showing some interest here and there and listening to one or two sessions on here there, that is not going to make it. This is a committed effort. It is an effort of years where a person has to really put his heart and soul into it and trying to understand what this shastra means. So here he says, Yogeshwara Krishna Sakshat. Sakshat Lord Narayana has come as an avatara and given this knowledge. Swayam, whatever was given by himself, not through somebody else. Directly, Bhagwan Krishna has given this knowledge to Arjuna, and I was lucky and I was really blessed by Vyasacharya to get this transformative knowledge. This is not a mere knowledge which gives me anything else. I cannot put this knowledge as I have learned this in my CV and try to get something out of it. This is not a knowledge which gives me awards, but this is something which gives me that spiritual growth, that capacity this knowledge has to transform me from a samsari to a jnani, from a samsari to a jivan mukta. So such a knowledge which is given swayam by Narayana, by Vyasa's prasada, I have been able to listen to and I have been able to see this whole dialogue that has happened between the teacher Lord Krishna and the Shishya Mahatma Arjuna. And in that also he says now, Rajan samsritya संवादमिममद्भुतं केशवार्जुनयोः पुण्यं हृष्यामि च मुहुर्मुहुः. I am blessed. Again and again I feel blessed. Hey Dhritarashtra, hey Rajan, muhur muhuhu. Again and again I am samsritya, going over it again and again, remembering what was talked about again and again. Just imagine what kind of a dialogue it would have been when Bhagwan, when Ishvara himself comes as a guru and talks to a Shishya. What kind of a samvada it must be. Having listened to that, and thinking over it and mulling over it again and again. Rajan, hey Rajan, samsritya, going over it again and again and again. Samvadam imam adbhutam samvadam. I am going over it, going through it again and again. It is ringing in my ears. Keshavarjuna yoho punyam hrishyami. Punyam samvadam imam. This sacred samvada which has happened between Keshava and Arjuna, again and again this is coming into my mind. And muhur muhuhu hrishyami, I am literally blessed and I am ecstatic by listening to this knowledge. And out of them also, out of this entire thing also, what is it that really made me absolutely stuck to what was happening? What is it that gave me the highest form of harsha or that happiness or bliss? What is it? He says in the penultimate verse, the 77th verse, he says that Tacha samsritya rupam atyadbhutam harehe vismayo me mahan rajan hrishyami cha punah punah. Not only the dialogue, Hey Rajan, but seeing Bhagwan in his Vishwarupa. Who are the people who saw the Vishwarupa of Bhagwan? What we saw in the 11th chapter. It was Arjuna definitely, because Bhagwan Krishna himself gave him the Jnana Chakshuhu. He gave Arjuna the capacity to see his entire Swarupam as the entire Jagat being the manifestation of Ishvara. He gave him the capacity, the Jnana Chakshu, to see that. Vyasacharya, of course, he was the compiler, he was the one who was writing it, he has seen it. And who else has seen it? It is said that Bhishma, who was lying on the bed of arrows, Bhishma also is supposed to have seen this particular picture. And of course, Sanjaya. These are the four people who have actually seen this entire Vishwarupa of Bhagwan. So he says that Tacha samsritya rupam adbhutam harehe. Harehe adbhutam rupam. Hari's adbhuta rupa. I have seen what has been described in the 11th chapter. I have also seen. I have been a part of that scene. I have seen myself where Bhagwan Hari has shown himself as nothing but the entire manifestation. The entire universe is nothing but that was seen in the body of Lord Krishna, in Harehe, in Hari's in body, the whole manifestation was seen. Rupam adbhutam, samsritya, remembering that again and again and again. I am Hrishyami, Vismayaha, it is Ascharya. It is something which is awe, which is an awe, which with awe I have seen that. And Mahan, Vismayo me Mahan Vismayaha, means it is something which is that of highest Vismaya or Ascharya, that Rupam of Bhagwan, which I have seen. It is something which is, I was awestruck with that particular vision. Rajan Hrishyami, I am again going through that again and again and again, punaha punaha. And ultimately he says he cannot contain his feeling blessed with this dhanyosmi. Naturally, when you listen to this dialogue, when you understand, when you absorb what has been talked about, it is nothing but a feeling of dhanyosmi. That this kind of a sacred and this kind of a secret knowledge, that I have been a part of it and I have understood it. What kind of a blessed feeling that Sanjaya would have got. If we can get it, every time you read Bhagavad Gita, every time you read Bhagwan's answers to Arjuna's question, that feeling of feeling blessed, oh dhanyosmi, dhanyosmi, that feeling comes every time. If it has to come to people like us, why not to Sanjaya, who has heard it directly from the horse's mouth, who has seen the whole thing unfolding in front of him, the entire Vishwarupa Darshana unfolding in front of his eyes. So that particular blessed feeling, he expresses it in the final verse, in the 78th verse, where he says, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishnaha, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutihi, Dhruvani Tirmatirmama. Hey Rajan, now after having gone through this, I very clearly understand wherever there is a guru in the form of Yogeshwara Krishna, wherever there is a Shishya in the form of Dhanurdharaha Partha, wherever Krishna is in whichever side, there is going to be Shri, there is going to be all resources and wealth. Shri, Vijaya Shri will be there. Vijayaha, Shri will be there. Lakshmi, Lord, Goddess Lakshmi will be there wherever Krishna and Arjuna Samvada is going on, wherever this teaching is going on, whichever side Bhagwan Narayana is there, there is no doubt that there will be this Sampatti in the form of Lakshmi, Sampatti in the form of Shri, Vijaya. Definitely there will be definitely winning. It is a situation where that side with whom Bhagwan is, there can never be any kind of a defeat. So Shrihi, Vijayaha, Bhutihi, Vibhuti, all the glory will be there. With whomever Lord Krishna is there, there, there will be glory. And Dhruva Nitihi, and there will be justice there. There will be definitely justice. Therefore, wherever Lord Krishna is, he is now with the Pandavas. There is no doubt that Shri or all the resources are on the side of Pandavas. Vijaya, winning is in the side of Pandavas. Bhutihi, all the glory will be theirs, and at the same time, Nitihi, justice will be there. There will be nothing which will be done which is unjust. Justice will be there. And this is Matir Mama. This is what I have understood, Sanjaya says, by going through this whole dialogue, listening to this whole dialogue, and seeing Bhagwan's Vishwarupam. Now I know this is Matir Mamaha. This is my opinion. And I'm 100% sure that wherever Lord Krishna is, whomever Lord Krishna is siding. But Lord Krishna means wherever Ishvara is, wherever Dharma is, there Shri will be there, Vijaya will be there, Vibhuti or glory will be there, and Niti or justice will be there. So now the war is going to happen, but it is very clear. For a person like Sanjaya, who's nothing but a charioteer of Dhritarashtra, for this person, it is absolutely clear already seeing this, that already there is this, the Pandavas have already won. All the glory is theirs. He is able to see that, but our Dhritarashtra, the blind king, is not able to see that. And with this, there is a complete closing of Bhagavad Gita by Sanjaya. And with this, we'll close. But I would like to say something more about this, as to many questions have come to me. We'll just formally conclude this the way we normally conclude any chapter. इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे मोक्षसंन्यासयोगो नाम अष्टादशोऽध्यायः. So with this we have completed the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Now the thing is, in the first 6 chapters, Bhagwan Krishna talked about the individual, the nature of the individual jiva, and the sadhanas to understand the ultimate nature of the swarupam of this individual jiva in the form of karma yoga. In the 7th to the 12th chapter, in the middle shatkam, Bhagwan talked about how to connect to this Ishvara, and the Swarupam of Ishvara was talked about in the form of Ekarupa Ishvara, in the form of Vishwarupa Ishvara, and also how a Bhakta can connect to this Ishvara, either in the form of an Artha Bhakta or an Artharthi Bhakta or a Jignasu Bhakta or a Jnani Bhakta. How to connect with Ishvara as a Bhakti. Bhakti and Ishvara Swarupam. Surrender to Ishvara and Ishvara Swarupam was the main topic of the second 6 chapters. And the final 6 chapters were the chapters of Jnanam, that is Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga. And in 13 to 18 chapter, Bhagwan talked about what this knowledge is, what is this ultimate knowledge, and what is this Jnana Yoga. What are the parts of Jnana Yoga? He talked about Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, and ultimately what is the phalam of this knowledge. All these things he talked about. Now, we have already understood that to go to this knowledge, one must have the chitta shuddhi, the capacity of the intellect to be free enough from ragadveshas, and prepare this intellect, prepare this mind ultimately for jnana yogyata. So what does karma yoga give me? It gives me chitta shuddhi and jnana yogyata prapti. What does upasana yoga give me? The capacity to connect myself, not to alienate myself, but to align myself to that Ishvara and surrender to Ishvara as what? As the entire manifest universe, and which gives me the capacity to focus and concentrate and understand the subtlest of the aspects of ultimate Swarupam of Bhagwan. And what is Jnana Yoga? Jnana Yoga is that which is explaining to me the ultimate Swarupam of Bhagwan as Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma, Akarta Abhokta Atma Brahman, what it is that is being explained here. So Bhagwan has talked about Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga in a sequence, in a serial. See, when teaching goes on, it is this whole thing is an integrated, it is an integral vision. We have to understand this. It is not that I start with karma yoga. How long should I be with karma yoga? Those are questions I am asked. How do I know that I have chitta shuddhi? How long, how many years should I be in karma yoga? How many years should I be in upasana yoga? What is the preparation of the mind? When should I expose myself to jnana yoga? See, this whole karma yoga, upasana yoga, jnana yoga, the jnana sadhanas, they are all integral, one whole integrated thing. They're not separate things. And how we have to take it into our lives, in the sense that Bhagavad Gita is, or our scriptures, there's nothing called theoretical Vedanta and practical Vedanta. There is no theory Bhagavad Gita and practical Bhagavad Gita. Our scriptures talk about our daily living. There's no differentiation between theory and practical. It is nothing but our daily living, how we are going to imbibe the teachings of our Shastra in our daily living. That is what the Shastra is telling. Because it is in our daily living that we find ourselves to be samsaris. We are unhappy. We are dukkhis. We are ignorant. We are having all kinds of wrong ideas about ourselves and about the world. And then, therefore, in this life itself, in this particular, as we are living our daily lives, this is where we need the solution for our daily life problems. It is not sitting in a classroom studying and then trying to apply it. It is not like studying physics or chemistry in a classroom first, then going to the lab and doing some experiments and trying to confirm what I have studied. It is not like that. Our scriptures, our Shastra is something which is the whole, the integral, the integrated vision where which I imbibe, which I absorb in my daily life, in my daily living. Therefore, we have to simultaneously be with all the three. It is not as if that for 10 years I do only karma yoga, then next 10 years I do only upasana, then after that another 10 years, if by that time I'm not bored and fed up of it, then I go to jnana yoga. It is not like that. Those who have asked me this question, I hope those people are there and listening now. What it means is that this karma yoga, upasana yoga, jnana yoga are one whole integrated thing, and we have to expose ourselves to all the three all the time. It is not as if today I do karma yoga, tomorrow I do upasana yoga, day after I do shravanam, after that mananam, nidijas. No. Then how do I do it? Every day I have a role to play. Let us see how to go about it. Every one of us are born in a certain situation. Every one of us is given a certain role to play. Every one of us has a certain script which is given by that ultimate director called as Ishvara. A script is given. A particular role is given to us. We have to play that role. And where does Karma Yoga come into picture in my daily life? As and when I'm playing this role, as and when I'm playing the script given to me by Ishvara, in whichever situation I am, sarvatha vartamanopi, wherever I am, let me have the attitude that this is something which I'm going to be. It is not my karma. It is not what I am doing. This is my offering to Bhagwan. I keep aside next to me, I keep this Bhagwan, surrender to this Bhagwan. Upasana has already come there. Can upasana be separated from karma yoga? Can bhakti and surrender to Ishvara be separated from karma yoga? It cannot be. Because as a karma yogi, I have to be a bhakta. Everything that I do, every single thing that I do, I think of Ishvara and say, this is the role that I am playing as a mother or as a father or as a teacher or whatever, as as an employer or an employee, whatever it is, this is the role that I am playing, and this is the role given to me. I align myself to that Ishvara. Anusmaranam, all the time surrendering, all the time connecting myself to Ishvara. I have an attitude of offering my actions to Ishvara. I don't have to do anything to show that I'm offering. It is an attitude, it is a feeling in my mind that, yes, this is my offering to Ishvara. And whenever, whatever comes to me, in whatever form it comes to me, yes, this is what I deserve. This is what is meant for me. This is what has come to me as prasada from Ishvara. That is it. Does not mean that I don't have a free will. I have a free will, but even that free will I offer to Ishvara. And understand that whatever I'm doing it as an offering to my Ishtadevata. And over a period of time, slowly my ragadveshas, my preferences, my wrong notions about my being a karta and bhokta, ragadveshas, slowly start diluting themselves. And every time they dilute, I become more and more and more of a bhakta. I become more and more and more, aligned to Ishvara. My will, my sankalpa becomes Ishvara's will. Ishvara sankalpa starts becoming my will. So karma yoga and upasana are going on simultaneously. There is a simultaneous chitta shuddhi going on. At the same time, chitta naischalyam is also there. preparing my mind for receiving this knowledge. And once it starts happening, automatically there is an interest in knowing the teaching of Bhagwan. When I surrender to Bhagwan, I surrender to the teaching of Bhagwan. In what way do I surrender to Bhagwan? In the form of teaching. So I expose myself to Jnana Yoga also. How many hours should I do that? That is not the thing. I have to all the time be aware of what is the level of my ragadveshas. What is the level of my chitta shuddhi? Maybe I should be doing more of karma yoga. Right now, maybe I should listen to the shastra. I should listen to the guru every day, but maybe I may not be able to spend more time there because I still need to process my mind. I still need to have chitta shuddhi. Therefore, I give more attention to being a karma yogi initially. I give more attention to being a bhakta and surrendering to that Ishvara. Constant anusmaranam, constantly remembering that Ishvara, like whatever Swamiji says. This has to happen together. And I simultaneously, at the same time, I don't postpone my exposure to the Shastra, saying that I'm not prepared. Yes, I'm not prepared for it, but I'm going through the preparation. As Bhagwan has said, I'm going through the Karma Yoga. I'm going through the Upasana Yoga. I'm getting more and more and more aligned with Ishvara. I'm getting more and more Dragadveshas diluted. My mind is getting more and more capable and receptive. I start understanding it myself. When I could not sit for 1 hour and listen to the Shastra, slowly I realized that over a period of time, I want to listen, I want to do more and more Shastra Vichara, and I want to listen for a longer time to the Guru, listen for longer time to the Shastra Vichara, and it doesn't bore me. I don't go to sleep, I don't fall asleep. I'm alert and I'm capable of staying with this Jnanam, capable of staying with this Upadesha of Bhagwan, because this Jnanam is not different from Ishvara. Ishvara's teaching is not different from Ishvara. When I'm an Ishvara Bhakta, I am a Bhakta of Ishvara's teaching also. Therefore, Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga are talked about in a serial form in teaching, because Bhagwan Krishna can't talk about all of these simultaneously, everything. Once in one go, he cannot. So even when we are learning Shastra Vichara, Atma and Atma Viveka first comes, Tvam-pada Vichara comes first, then Tat-pada Vichara comes, then the Aikya Vichara comes, because the teaching happens serially. But when I am absorbing the teaching, it should happen in an integrated way. Therefore, there's no question of theoretical Shastra study and then applying it. How do you apply it in your life? There's no question. Here, the whole process of Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga are happening all together simultaneously. It has to happen simultaneously. I can't wait serially for one thing and then for the other, then for the other. Atma Jnanam, Brahma Jnanam is that knowledge where all these three have to happen simultaneously. Chitta Shuddhi has to go on in one direction. At the same time, Chitta Naishalyam by Upasana has to go on simultaneously. At the same time, this intellect has to be exposed to this knowledge all at once. Therefore, my everyday living should be, whenever I'm doing anything, whenever I'm involved in anything, my attitude is what? I'm doing this as an offering to my Ishtadevata to start with. And then slowly, as I start offering all my actions to the Ishtadevata, over a period of time, I start seeing every jiva, everything in this universe, the entire manifest universe, I start seeing as the manifestation of Lord, which is nothing but surrender to the Vishwarupa, which is Upasana. With this, my mind becomes, my intellect becomes much more subtly available for this knowledge. Therefore, yes, initially I have, if I have absolutely no, you know, exposure to this at all, then maybe a few months or few years of my life I will have to do karma yoga, prepare myself. But most of us, especially being in this particular our situation with a guru parampara like ours, with our present guru like this, who is an epitome of Vedantic teaching, for us it should not be difficult for us to be karma yogis, upasakas and jnana yogis all at once. It should happen together. It is one whole thing. I am a karma yogi, I am an upasaka, I am a jnana yogi. All have to happen together. It is not a serial knowing, it is happening. Maybe I have to give more attention to one of them. If I have sufficient chitta shuddhi, if I have sufficient vairagya, if my ragadveshas are sufficiently cleared, probably I have to give more attention to aligning myself to Ishvara, to bhakti and surrender. And if I have sufficient bhakti and surrender, maybe now, yes, now this is the time for me to spend more time in Shastra Vichara. That one has to find out for oneself. And of course, the Guru will be able to guide individually. Otherwise, nobody else can tell me whether you should be more of a karma yogi. No, all three of that we have to be at one go, in one day, simultaneously. At this time, today, we are all the three. At present, what is happening? All the three are going on together because we are karma yogis. When I'm speaking, I'm a karma yogi. When you're listening, you are a karma yogi. We are talking about Bhagwan. We are talking about Ishvara. And that is nothing but connecting, aligning oneself to Ishvara, upasana, simultaneously going on. And what is the upasana about? The very teaching of the Lord. The teaching and the Lord are not different from each other. Bhagwan is not different from his teaching. Bhagwan Krishna is not different from Jnanam that he is giving Arjuna. Therefore, this question is something which I felt that I should answer, because it is not that serially we have to go. We have to be with Karma Yoga, Upasana, and Jnana Yoga. All the three have to be integrated in our lives, and we have to take frequently, we have to benchmark ourselves. Frequently, we have to see, look into ourselves and see, where am I? Where am I? It is called as Simhavalokanam. Look back and see, where was I? Now, do I have these qualities, Amanitvadi? Are my vasanas still that strong enough? Am I still as much confused? Okay, then where I have to work on? Oh, now I still have a lot of ragadveshas. I should strengthen my karma yoga aspect of it more. Simultaneously exposing myself to the jnanam, this shastra vichara. That is why when our gurus, when they give Ashirvachanam, they are talking about this jnanam. They're not talking about anything else. They don't see whether you are prepared, you are prepared, you are prepared. Whatever may be the stage of preparation, but all the three have to be taken together. Therefore, this knowledge of Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga are not three different aspects of this. It is the entire Vedantic teaching is integrated into all these three, and we have to learn to integrate and see the whole integral whole as that, and be with all of them. Be with all of them. Let us not wait now to understand. Now, if some other topic is going to be started, after some time on in these classes, let us not wait. No, I'm not yet prepared, let me wait for another 10 years. That time will never come. It will never come. It should be where I have to be simultaneously there with all the three. For which I give importance, it depends on me. I have to make up my mind. Where is it that I need to give more attention? Should I give more attention to Karma Yoga? Should I give more attention to Upasana Yoga? Or should it be Jnana Yoga? All the three are going on simultaneously. But to which do I give more importance? This is something which I have to very, very alertfully, very, very awarefully, I have to look into myself, and I have to see myself the way I am and decide. But all the three have to go on together. So don't be in a doubt. When should I start Jnana Yoga? Somebody asked me. Where's the question of starting Jnana Yoga? You are in Jnana Yoga. When you're listening to these Bhagavad Gita sessions, you are in Jnana Yoga. Where's the question of starting it sometime? It is already been started. When we are talking about Karma Yoga, what you are sitting here and listening, what I'm doing now is nothing but Karma Yoga. It is nothing but Upasana. It's all connected. We have to take it like that. So if there is any doubt like this, understand there is no theoretical Vedanta, no practical Vedanta. Vedanta is a way of life. Bhagavad Gita is a way of life. That's it. That is why our scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, is relevant today also. Whatever was Arjuna's problem at that time is the same problem with me also today. The teacher may be different, the student may be different, but knowledge remains the same. It is the same knowledge which has come from generation to generation. Arjuna had to fight his war, we are fighting our own wars every day. But the thing is, the knowledge has not changed. Therefore, this samvada between Bhagwan Krishna and the Shishya Arjuna is as relevant today as it was 5,000 years ago. This war happened in nearly 2500 or 3000 BC. So, for more than 5,000 years ago, what was relevant? It is relevant today also. That is why, after the study of Bhagavad Gita, there are certain Puranas which talk about Gita Mahatmyam. They say that every day one must chant at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita minimum. If you chant the whole Bhagavad Gita, it is punya. The Parayanam itself gives punya. If you cannot chant the whole of Bhagavad Gita, it says that at least one chapter a day. There are people who do that. That every day one chapter serially, 18 days in 1 month twice. One thing is that we probably get this by heart, which is very essential. Getting the verses by heart makes a lot of difference in understanding. And when these things are being taught, we don't have to go back to look into the book to see which verse it is. It is there in our minds. So, Parayanam of at least one chapter. If not one chapter, it is said at least half a chapter. Gita Mahatmyam says, if not half a chapter, at least one verse. If one verse of Bhagavad Gita you can chant that day as a karma yoga, connecting yourself with Bhagwan Krishna, who is the teacher, the giver of this knowledge, and contemplate over the meaning of that one verse of Bhagavad Gita. Your Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, all of them have come together. And it is said that even chanting and ruminating, contemplating over even one verse of Bhagavad Gita per day, it has got the capacity, the punya that can be given, even casual listening or casual chanting, the punya to prepare you to understand this Aikya Jnanam, Abheda Jnanam. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita, it is a kind of a compilation or the summary of all our Shastra. What Bhagwan Krishna speaks is not what he has invented. It is exactly what our Shastras are telling. So with this, we conclude the Bhagavad Gita 90 sessions. And just last 2 minutes, I would like to offer my gratitude to our Guru Parampara. With so much of trust, our Parama Pujya Swamiji has given this responsibility to me, and I only hope I have satisfied our Guru Parampara and done my best. And there are so many people who have worked, to make this happen. 90 weeks without a break, without stopping, continuously 90 weeks of this sharing of this knowledge, 90 weeks of this Jnana Yajna. I'm extremely grateful to those people who have worked with me. That is Shanti Schnail, who has taken care of this entire, our internet and our technology thing. Archana Kumta, who's literally, is like my right hand, who has always been there with me in every session. And Sharmila, who's also been one of our IT professionals here. And there are so many others who have worked behind this, creating the links, connecting the links. Linata has been there, Nitin has been there. I have not met them actually, but all of them have worked with me to make this 90 days, 90-week session of Bhagavad Gita possible, and it has happened. And I'm very grateful to all my listeners who have come and listened to me, and I only hope that I have done whatever has been the right thing, and I only hope I have given pramanikataya whatever Krishna wanted, any teacher of Bhagavad Gita to give. I hope I have done justice to Bhagavad Gita. नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्था शाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।